The federal government is receiving more and more commendations for its introduction of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, just as the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is stepping up its game in the implementation of this program. The National Homegrown School Feeding Program has, within the lifespan of the ministry, received quite a lot of attention with a clear desire to see more children benefiting from it. In this episode of the program, we shall therefore be looking at the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, its objectives, recent innovations, while focusing on the enumeration exercise going on in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. This, in addition to events in the news for the ministry, make up this episode of Service to Humanity. Please stay tuned.
The Empower program is key to helping young Nigerians acquire and develop.
The federal government of Nigeria remains committed to including and protecting persons with disabilities to guarantee that no one is left behind.
I see that we are going through challenging times, and I see this woman running all about the country trying to help our people, because this lady is doing a very good job for our country.
Thank you.
Thank you for all what you have been doing for us.
In our management diary, Sadia Umar Farouk says migration cannot be washed away, but proactive steps must be taken to stem the negative tide. This and more in our news segment coming up next.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia Umar Farouk, has commended the International Organization for Migration, IOM, for its contribution in promoting migration governance in the country. The minister, who spoke in a recent interview, said that most notable of its work is the production of a displacement tracking matrix which aids standard operating procedures in migration issues. She spoke on other initiatives of IOM that have helped the ministry and indeed Nigeria in tackling migration issues.
I must also mention that IOMs are partnering with the ministry to decongest and provide durable solutions to various IDP camps in the country as part of the ministry's approach to resettlement, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of the destroyed communities. IOM has also strengthened migration management in Nigeria by supporting the efforts of the government of Nigeria to manage migration through capacity building, voluntary returns, counter-trafficking, and technical assistance on migration matters, including migration health and information.
Speaking further on the activities of IOM, the minister called for more collaboration to tackle irregular migration through a comprehensive approach that will facilitate regular migration and take care of the negative fallouts of irregular migration.
The lack of migration pathways is a root cause of irregular migration, which leads to trafficking, exploitative labor practices, gender-based violence, slavery, and in some cases death. We must understand that migration cannot be wished away. What we're saying that migration should be safe, regular, and orderly. And we can only achieve that if all the bottlenecks are addressed, especially in the issue of visa applications, visa, administration of some of these countries that people wish to migrate to. But collectively, we have to do that to guarantee the safe, orderly, and regular migration for Nigerians as enshrined in the Global Compact for Migration.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has unveiled a Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics STEM Center at the Federal Government College, Maiduguri, Borno State. The minister, while flagging off the project, said that the center, which is one of the components of the National Social Investment Program, is a project strategically conceived to provide technical platforms that will aid modern teaching and learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to students in selected federal and state-owned science and technical secondary schools nationwide. She said the STEM centers will give students in secondary schools an opportunity to have practical experience through digital learning platforms and also equip and transform STEM teachers to deliver digital literacy through training, mentoring, and provision of devices to aid teaching. Each STEM center is equipped with 25 all-in-one desktop PC 24-inch screen Intel 2.8 GHz quad-core, 25 desktop tables and chairs, 1 projector of 5,000 lumens, 1 magnetic whiteboard for learning, 1 Wi-Fi router multi-SIM, and 18 Lego robotics sets.
When the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development was created in August 2019, it took over the coordination and supervision of the National Social Investment Programs. The National Homegrown School Feeding Program is a part of the social investment programs targeted at vulnerable school children in primary 1 to 3 of public primary schools. Our next segment brings you a short review of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Please keep watching.
I thank the federal government for bringing food for us. I really enjoy it.
Food is truly a magnet that can bring children to school and keep them there. It is also a way to ensure that children get 1 nutritional meal a day. And that is the reasoning behind the National Homegrown School Feeding Program of the federal government, introduced as one of the components of the National Social Investment Programs, designed to, amongst other things, tackle poverty. The National Homegrown School Feeding Program is designed to provide school pupils in primaries 1 to 3 in public primary schools with 1 balanced meal per school day. It has 3 basic objectives aimed at creating a value chain economic impact.
Is aimed at achieving also some laudable objectives. 1, to enhance school enrollment, to stimulate economic activities in the communities, and also to boost nutritional status of the children that are being paid in the school. So
the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, which creates a rural or community-based building capacity and also taking the value chain approach on agriculture. So the local people will produce it, will sell it, and then the food gets cooked for primary school children between class 1 to 3 within the community.
With the creation of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the subsequent movement of the NSIPs under its purview, it took over the coordination of the Homegrown School Feeding Program. Early 2020, the school feeding program was flagged off in the FCT by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. The onset of the COVID-19 pandemic saw schools being closed down to prevent the spread of the virus. 3 frontline states were locked down, namely Lagos, Ogun, and FCT. However, in spite of these children being at home, the President issued a directive that the school feeding program continues in these frontline states. It was a task the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs carried out in collaboration with the states.
The school feeding program, even though our children are at home.
With normalcy gradually returning, the Ministry in the 4th annual review of the Homegrown School Feeding Program explored the theme Strengthening and Sustaining the School Feeding Program post-COVID-19. There were clear objectives for the meeting.
This is an opportunity for us all to share the experiences of success and to reflect and discuss amongst ourselves the complex challenges plaguing the program and provide solutions on how to be more effective.
The objectives of this year review are to assess progress made since the 3rd annual review meeting, to identify challenges the program has encountered along the way, to identify and proffer sustainable solutions to those challenges. We would also hear from the states on how the National Homegrown School Feeding Program is running in their respective states, to review the National Homegrown School Feeding Program Implementation Manual, and to finally develop a work plan for 2021 for the program.
This meeting is actually meant to dissect and x-ray these problems, x-ray these challenges, and at the end of the 4 days, come up with maybe strategies and recommendations to the minister and to the ministry as to how to go about them in order to strengthen the program.
Each one of us here today has been selected by different persons at different times to achieve the same goals, which are to eliminate poverty in all its forms and uplift humanity. It is therefore not a coincidence that we have found ourselves here at this forum to carry on with the work of assessing our efforts, identifying our weaknesses, celebrating our strengths, and encouraging one another to work harder, smarter, and in a more transparent manner for the benefit of those who are in our charge. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development remains committed to providing the necessary support and the enabling environment for social protection and inclusion policies to grow and take root in the fabric of our nation so that future generations will thrive and succeed in a growingly competitive world.
State program coordinators who attended the meeting commended the initiative as a veritable tool for socio-economic development.
So for me, it's what you call an economic enabler for the communities. And if it's well run, you could use this to drive the economies of the communities. You could drive the agriculture. You can even upscale it into food processing and industrialization in long term.
It helped our state, the children, to increase in the school. You know, before today, we all know what was going on in the whole state, that the public primary school are nothing to write home about. But with this feeding, a lot of children, a lot of parents have gone to enroll their children in public primary school.
In view of the strategic impact of the NSIPs, President Muhammadu Buhari directed the expansion of the social investment programs, with the school feeding program expected to be expanded by an additional 5 million pupils.
The program is being expanded to accommodate an additional 5 million children in line with the directives of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari. The outcomes of this program includes increase in school enrollment, improved nutrition for benefiting pupils, boosting of local economies and facilitating job creation through the activities of 103,028 cooks, 100,000 smallholder farmers, and numerous aggregators and commodity transporters engaged nationwide.
The recommencement of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program was symbolically flagged off in the FCT by the Minister Sadiya Umar Farouk in a ceremony to hand over cooking utensils and aprons to facilitate smooth operation of the program.
Today we are here to fulfill Mr. President's gesture on handing over feeding utensils.
Other actions taken by the ministry to ensure efficient implementation of the Homegrown School Feeding Program include the inauguration of an interministerial multisectoral committee to streamline roles of collaborators and ensure cohesion.
The school feeding program is truly a cross-cutting one by design. It has links to health, education, the economy, agriculture, labor, and so on. It is therefore important that we utilize a multi-sectoral approach in its implementation and also its planning. This means that we must work with our colleagues from the various relevant line ministries to truly jointly realize these objectives, and also to fulfill our individual yet aligned institutional mandates. The school feeding program is an innovation, it is an incentive, and is also a catalyst for better outcomes across developmental indices, and ultimately a strategic tool for combating poverty in all its forms.
I want to encourage you conclusively, before I inaugurate you, that try as much as possible to work together and try as much as possible to contribute very vigorously. Try to ensure that the right thing is done and encourage others also who are relevant to make sure that this succeeds, they participate.
The ministry has also taken the step to carry out an enumeration exercise to ensure the gathering of accurate data for the program, as well as ensure efficiency and sustainability.
While seeking for the most innovative ways to manage the National Social Investment Program, especially the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, we have resolved that having the biometric data of all the beneficiaries of this program will create an avenue for better program planning and implementation, and will create more room for enlisting more beneficiaries. This will also foster transparency, accountability, in line with established processes and government regulations, and will further ensure judicious, accurate use of resources allocated to the ministry.
And so, a nationwide enumeration exercise of the homegrown school feeding exercise has commenced amidst other interventions, all with the aim of ensuring that every Nigerian child in primary 1 to 3 in a public primary school on free balanced nutritious meal every school day.
The Empower program is key to helping young Nigerians acquire and develop.
The federal government of Nigeria remains committed to including and protecting persons with disabilities to guarantee that no one is left behind.
I see that we are going through challenging times, and I see this woman running all about the country trying to help our people, because this lady is doing a very good job for our country.
Thank you. Thank you for all what you have been doing for us.
The enumeration exercise for the National Homegrown School Feeding Program is a laudable exercise geared towards providing the needed data for more efficient planning and execution of the school feeding program. We will now take a report from Ondo State to see how the exercise went and what teachers and vendors have to say about the program.
The enumeration exercise is aimed at putting faces to names and identities of the children by taking their details, pictures, and biometrics. It is going to be a continuous process as some pupils exit the program and others are enrolled. The exercise involves stakeholders from different parastatals like the National Orientation Agency, Bureau of Statistics, and so on, with members of the National Youth Service Corps playing an important role. Focal person Mrs. Olubumi Olubukola said the essence of the enumeration is to ensure transparency and to get the actual data of schools, pupils, and cooks under the program.
The ongoing enumeration program, honestly, the purpose of this, we really need it because so many people have been talking about us not really doing anything in school feeding, and those figures, they believe they are not correct figures. So with what we are doing right now, capturing of the kids, knowing where schools are, what the schools are all about, where the locations of all the various schools are, and knowing the numbers, capturing them, biometrics, would have an actual figure. And
Mr. Julius Chesson, the Ondo State Program Manager, said the exercise is to help them ascertain the database of school children and cooks captured under the program. He said the school feeding program has helped increase the enrollment of school children in Ondo State.
This program started in Ondo State in 2018, and the present figure we are using is the figure captured in 2018. And at the same time, while validating the figure of 2018, the federal government will also reconsider the difference between that figure and the present figure.
The efforts of core members in the enumeration exercise cannot be overemphasized, as they too commend the federal government over the initiative.
We are very happy about this program, and we, the core members and the PUPI, are also very happy, and we want to say We want to appreciate the federal government for what they have done, and also the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs for this program. We say thank you very much.
The Ondo State team lead was also on ground to monitor the enumeration process. She speaks more on the exercise.
The program is covering the enumeration of the pupils benefiting from the school feeding, that is pupils from primary 1 to 3. And we are going round from schools to schools to ensure that, number one, we monitor the school feeding program to ensure that the pupils are being fed and to the standard to which they are being fed. Then number two, to monitor the enrollment program.
Teachers in some of the schools visited commended the initiative and the impact it has had on the education of the children, as they appreciated the federal government for the scheme.
I want to appreciate the federal government for this scheme, the feeding scheme for pupils. This feeding scheme has really increased the enrollment of our pupils, because they are always eager to come to school.
The free feeding program is highly fantastic, and the effect of it on our enrollment drive is very positive. Most of our pupils, they have gone to private school before, but right from the inspection of the program, the turnout of the pupils is highly impressive.
Some vendors expressed their appreciation to the government as they speak on the food given to pupils weekly.
I'm a food vendor here at Correctional Primary School, Olokuta, here in Ondo State. I do give the children meal from Monday to Friday. On Monday, I gave them beans together with maize. Tuesday, rice with beans. Wednesday, jollof rice. Thursday, yam with stew. Friday, rice together with beans. And the children really benefited from the food. They really enjoy the food. It helps them to cooperate, to understand what they are teaching them in the classroom. And I want to use this medium to thank the minister and our president for this great opportunity that has been given unto me to benefit from this program. Thanks.
Appreciating the federal government, the pupils expressed their gratitude.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the federal government for the feeding program.
I thank the federal government for bringing food for us. I really enjoy it.
Some of the aggregators visited included the abattoir, which supplies the meat component in the meals, market, and non-perishable food stores.
No doubt, the Homegrown School Feeding Program is fulfilling its objective of increasing school enrollment. And with the enumeration ongoing, the program will have the needed data to accommodate new beneficiaries or new pupils, as the case may be. Before we wrap up the program, let's hear some stories from beneficiaries of Empower Batches A and B. Be inspired.
My name is Zareti Ibrahim. I'm a beneficiary for Empower Tech FCT. I've been hearing about web designing and stuff, but getting here, I've learned so much. I have learned how to code, HTML, digital marketing. Classes are really going on. I'm eager to learn more, and I'm glad to be one of the beneficiaries.
I'm an Empower teacher in community secondary school, Obono here in Okang. The place where I taught before in a private school, it was a small school. It don't really pay well. I was receiving like 15,000 naira. It has helped me in so many areas, because unlike when I've not gotten the job, when I was still working with that private school, I used to find it difficult to cope, financially, because the money was a no-go area. You can't even buy bread. You have appetite for bread. You can't even buy, but now you can use it for anything. Even now, I'm planning to, because of this Empower program, to start my master's.
And that's it on the program. Do join me again, same time, same station next week for more on the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development as it renders invaluable service to humanity. I am your regular anchor, Habiba Zakzak. Bye for now.